$0. Not approximately zero, not close to zero. The number on the screen when you open the app is $0. And it has been $0 for 6 days, and it will be $0 until Friday. And you know exactly what happens on Friday because you have already spent Friday in your head 3 times this week. You are 23 years old. You have a job. The job pays enough to survive and not enough to do anything else. And the distance between those two things is where your entire life currently lives. You don't talk about money. Nobody at this level talks about money, but everyone is doing the same math, constantly, underneath everything. You know your account number by heart. You check the balance the way other people check the weather, not because checking changes anything, but because not knowing feels worse than knowing. The gas light comes on Tuesday. You have $23 until Friday. You do the math in your head before you pull into the station. You put in $15. You drive away. You don't think about this for the rest of the day because there is nothing to think about. That is just what Tuesday costs. This is level 0, not a starting point, not a chapter 1, just the water you are swimming in, and you have been swimming in it so long you have forgotten it is wet. The first rule, at 0, money is not a resource. It is the atmosphere. You cannot think clearly about it because you are inside it. Level 1, $1,000. You get a raise, not a real one, $4,800 a year before taxes, which arrives as $271 extra per month after everything is removed. You feel it for exactly 9 days. Then your landlord sends an email. Then your phone plan renews. Then a tire. The $271 disappears so completely it might not have existed. You try again. You cancel 3 subscriptions. You stop buying lunch. You transfer $200 into a savings account on a Sunday night and you do not touch it. Then $200 more. Then $150 because something came up. 6 months later, the savings account holds $1,100. You check it on a Wednesday morning before work. You sit with it for a moment that is longer than makes sense for $1,100. Because this is the first time in your adult life that a number moved in the right direction because of a decision you made. Not because of a paycheck, not because of luck, because you chose it. You don't tell anyone. There is no one to tell. Nobody in your life would understand why $1,100 feels like a different category of person. But it does. It feels exactly like that. The shift. You stop measuring money by what it costs you to survive. You start measuring it by what it would take to escape. Level 2, $10,000. You are 26. You have never had this number in an account with your name on it. Not once, not close. The day it clears, you check it 3 times. You open the app, close it, open it again. Not because you distrust the bank, because you don't quite trust yourself yet. Because this number exists in a category that was not available to you before, and some part of your nervous system hasn't received the update. You don't spend it. Every impulse arrives and you let it pass. The car upgrade, the trip, the version of yourself that deserves something nice after everything. You let all of it pass and you watch the number sit there and you feel something you have not felt in years. Not happiness, not freedom, something quieter than both. The faint early signal that the math might be running in a different direction now. You open a brokerage account. You stare at it for 2 weeks before you put anything in. You invest $1,500. The market drops the next day. You almost pull it out. You don't. This is the moment you decide whether fear runs your financial life or you do. You don't know yet how much that decision is worth. You will. You start reading, not motivation, not thumbnails promising passive income in 30 days, actual books about how money moves, how compound interest works, what an index fund is, and why the expense ratio matters more than the name on the label. You learn things that were never taught to you. You feel the specific anger of that. You let it pass. There is no one to be angry at, and anger doesn't compound. The second rule, the gap between $0 and $10,000 is psychological. The gap between $10,000 and $100,000 is behavioral. You cannot build the second until you survive the first. Level 3, $50,000. You are 29. Your salary is $68,000. You are maxing your 401k match. You have an emergency fund that covers 4 months. You are doing everything correctly, everything you were supposed to do, and you feel, by most measures, responsible. And then one night you sit down and run the numbers honestly, all the way out. You put your current savings rate into a spreadsheet with conservative return assumptions, and you project it forward 40 years. The number at the end is fine. It is enough. It will cover a modest exit at 67 with some room for error. It is not what you thought you were building toward. You close the laptop. You go to bed. You lie in the dark for a long time, thinking about a word you cannot quite name yet. The word is ceiling. You have been working hard inside a room, and you just notice for the first time that the room has a ceiling, and you can see it from here. You are excellent at not losing. You are not yet building anything. The shift. You don't need more discipline. You need a different structure entirely. Discipline inside the wrong system just gets you to the ceiling faster. You start something on the side. You don't call it a business. It's a thing you do Saturday mornings for 3 hours that earns $400 a month, then $900, then $1,600. You don't upgrade anything. You don't tell your employer. You reinvest everything back into the mechanism for 11 months, and you eat the same meals and drive the same car and say no to a destination wedding and a group trip to Miami and a business idea pitched by a friend who has never read a cash flow statement. No, no, no. You feel the friction in the relationships. Some people drift. You let them drift. This is not cruelty. This is just what happens when you stop organizing your life around other people's comfort with your choices. The third rule, a salary is a ceiling designed to look like a floor. The moment you see it clearly, you cannot unsee it. The only question is what you do with the discomfort. Level 4, $100,000. The number clears on a Thursday. You are at work. You check the app between meetings, not expecting anything, and the number is 6 figures for the first time in your life, and you put the phone face down on the desk and look at the ceiling for a moment. Then you go back to the meeting. There is no one to call. Not because you are alone, you have people, real ones, but because explaining what this number means requires explaining everything that came before it. The $0 Tuesdays, the $15 of gas, the savings account you rebuilt 3 times. The Saturday mornings nobody saw. You would have to hand them the whole story for the number to mean what it means. So you sit with it quietly. You let it be real. What changes, you believe, for the first time in a way that isn't performance, that the trajectory is real. Before you knew it intellectually, now you know it in your body. What gets worse, the stakes, because now it can be lost. The fear changes shape. Before you were afraid it would never work. Now you're afraid it will work and then stop. You become careful in a way that borders on protective. You don't post about it. You don't mention it at dinner. You don't want anyone's attention near it until it's solid enough to withstand being seen. Your net worth is $100,000. Your investments returned $6,200 this year without you making a single active decision. You read that sentence again. $6,200 while you were asleep, while you were at work, while you were doing something else entirely. You want more mechanisms. The fourth rule, below $100,000, you are buying your first assets. Above it, assets start buying time. The moment you feel the difference, everything you understood about work changes permanently. Level 5, $250,000. You are 34. You buy a duplex, $51,000 down. Both units rent. After the mortgage, the taxes, the insurance, and a maintenance reserve, you net $680 a month. $680. It is not dynasty money. It is not the number that changes your life, but it is the first time you understand ownership not as a concept, but as a physical sensation. Something you bought is generating income while you think about something else, while you sleep, while you sit in a meeting about a project that stopped mattering to you 8 months ago. This restructures how you understand work more than any raise or promotion ever did. Your net worth is $250,000. You still drive a 2018 Civic with 94,000 miles on it. People in your life make assumptions about your financial situation that are wrong in both directions, and you don't correct them. You've learned that money at this level makes people strange, either reverent in a way that creates distance or dismissive in a way that conceals something you don't have a clean name for. You say less. You build more. You let the gap widen between where you are and where the people around you assume you are. And you feel the distance, not as loneliness exactly, but as a kind of altitude. The air is thinner up here. You got here by choosing it. You are not going back. The shift. You stop asking how much you can earn. You start asking how many things can earn on your behalf. Level 6, $500,000. You are 38. $500,000 with your name attached to it. A number that would have been science fiction to the version of you pumping $15 of gas on a Tuesday with $23 in the account. You sit with it for a moment. You notice something you didn't expect. It doesn't feel like safety. It feels like halfway. Because now you can see the other side clearly enough to understand how much distance remains. Your investments generate approximately $31,000 a year at historical averages, without you doing anything. That number is real. It is also not enough to replace your income, not yet, but it is no longer theoretical. It is a mechanism running in the background of your life every single day. You hire a fee-only financial planner. Her name is Renata. She charges $4,200 a year. In the first 6 months, she finds a depreciation schedule across your rental property that reduces your taxable income by $18,000 annually. She restructures your accounts in a way you didn't know was legal. The $4,200 saves $6,800 in the first year. You renew her contract immediately. You realize this is what wealthy people have always known, that nobody told you, that the system has structures built into it that reward those who know how to find them. Not loopholes, architecture, legal architecture that was always available to you and simply required the knowledge and the capital to access. You think about this for a long time. You let the thought settle without bitterness. Bitterness doesn't compound. The fifth rule: at $500,000, you are no longer accumulating. You are allocating. The strategies are not interchangeable. The people who plateau are the ones who keep doing the same thing past the point where a different approach would have changed everything. Level 7, $1 million. A Tuesday, nothing special about it. Your brokerage app refreshes while you're making coffee, and the number has 7 digits, and you stand in the kitchen for a moment with the cup in your hand. You thought you would feel different. You thought there would be a signal, some clear internal notification that said, this is the one, this is the moment, you did it. Instead, there is quiet, a small, clean, private acknowledgement that the direction was right. And then, almost immediately, the clear and slightly cold understanding that $1 million at a 4% withdrawal rate is $40,000 a year. That is not freedom. That is a starting point. That is the number where the real question begins. You call your mother. You talk for 22 minutes. You don't mention the number. Not because you are hiding it, because you don't know how to say it in a way that lands correctly. It would sound like bragging to her. It would sound like distance, like you standing on one side of a river and her on the other, and the number just making the water louder. So you say you are doing well. She says good. She says eat something real. You hang up and stand in the quiet for a while. You are the first person in your family to reach this number. There is no reference for this in the language you grew up with, no word your parents would have used, no framework your grandmother left you for what to do with it, or how to feel about it, or what it means about who you are now versus who you were. The milestone arrives. The milestone is not the destination. The milestone is the proof of concept. It is confirmation that the direction was right. That is all it needs to be. And somewhere right now, there's a 23-year-old opening a banking app in the dark. The number on the screen is $0. It has been $0 for 6 days. It will be $0 until Friday, and Friday is already spent in his head. And underneath everything he does, underneath the drive to work and the grocery calculation and the $15 of gas, the math runs constantly, quietly, without stopping. He thinks this is a story about money. He thinks if he just earns more of it, something will finally resolve. He doesn't know yet what has to resolve. He doesn't know what the machine will ask of him. Not in dollars, in distance, in the long, quiet gap that opens between who you are at 0 and who you have to become to reach somewhere else. The machine doesn't ask if you're ready. It doesn't negotiate. It opens every morning and takes whoever shows up. Whoever shows up consistently, patiently, without flinching, without asking the question everyone else keeps asking. They compound. The money compounds. And so does everything else. The balance is $0. It always starts there. It always will.